Okay, this is a guy named Jim Figura. He sent me this really beautiful email and a song that he wrote. And I wrote back to him and asked if I could read his email to you. And he said yes. And I also asked him if he had a website where people could find more of his music or anything. And he said, I don't have a page for my music. I'm not trying to sell anything. My banjo is basically a whore that plays around with any good-looking guitar it can find. I guess I can be found at random bars in Crested Butte, Colorado during the summer and Bisbee during the winter. Just keep your ear open for that happy twang sound. Yeah, so this email is talking about his life about 10 years ago and an interesting transition that happens. Okay, here we go. Howdy, Chris. I've been waiting to share the song of mine with you since I heard your Alaska stories on an early Toma episode. I realized in that episode or two that me and you lived somewhat similar adventures in our youth. To make a long story short, I found myself as a severely depressed 20-year-old in the cornfields of Illinois, studying art at Eastern Illinois University. I knew I wasn't doing what I wanted with my life, not my wife. I knew I wasn't doing what I wanted with my life, and I was contemplating suicide. 20 years old, contemplating suicide. If you're 20 years old and contemplating suicide, do yourself a favor and try something fucking wild and crazy. You can always kill yourself later. But if you're actually contemplating suicide, that means you're in a position where you have nothing left to lose, right? There's nothing to lose. You're already ready to check out. So why not do something fucking wild and fun first? Then you can check out. Anyway, back to the letter. But instead, I figured there might be something better, somewhere far from the sorrowful mindset. So in the middle of the night, I loaded a backpack full of clothes, grabbed my banjo, and stuck my thumb out on the nearest highway heading west. Fast forward a year, and after hundreds of rides, thousands of miles, and saying yes to every opportunity that presented itself to me, I found myself washing dishes at a float plane, accessible only fishing lodge in the middle of nowhere, Alaska. That summer was a major coming-of-age experience for me, living in rubber tents with brawny Alaskan fishermen who might not know what's going on in the rest of the world and probably don't care. I was a baby-faced Irish kid from Chicago, way out of my element, running from grizzly bears, dealing with mosquito-induced psychosis, and wondering when the sun would finally fucking set. I learned more about life in a couple of months from the people I met up there than in the 15 years I had spent in American public schools. Looking back, I realized that depression may just be an immune system response to being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm so glad I stuck my thumb out and found a glorious world of endless possibility. That summer, I wrote and recorded this song in an attempt to capture the feeling I had during my time in the bush. It's called Land of the Midnight Sun. The dude's name is Jim Figura. Check it out.
She often thought about the town where she grew up, but them city lights were one thing she said she'd never miss. She was an artist and an author, but no stranger to an axe. She could spend all day just chopping wood and then write the great American novel about never looking back. She lives in the shadow of Denali, underneath the northern lights. where the grizzlies watch over all those cold glacier streams, waiting for the salmon run, in the land of the midnight sun. And Willie was Mr. Alaska, the king of the Bering Sea. And though he only stood 4'6", the stories that he told were taller than any tree. Singing songs and going fishing is how he spent his days. But one story that you'll never hear him tell is about a girl he lost that catch that got away. He lives in the shadow of Denali, underneath them northern lights, where the grizzlies watch over all those cold glacier streams, waiting for the salmon run, in the land of the midnight sun. And in it was a question: do you either walk upon the water or sink just like a stone? 'Cause me, I'm just a stranger who came in search of wealth, but somewhere along the river where the mountains touch the sky, I found myself. I live in the shadow of Denali, underneath the northern lights, where the grizzlies watch over all those cold glacier streams, waiting for the salmon run, in the land of the midnight sun.